לעסוק
בדברי
Torah, to get busy with Torah, to soak ourselves in Torah, as one of my second grade students used to say to me. That's what it means, la'asok, to soak yourself in Torah. So we're back at the beginning, everybody. We're back at the beginning. So when I teach Simchat Torah to the littles, to the ECC, I always tell them that it's the Jewish holiday of again, read it again, because right, that's what the kids do. They always, like the littles, when you read them books, they ask as soon as you finish, they're like, read it again, read it again. Like, well, you just read this book. Yeah, but I want you to read it again. So over and over and over. It doesn't even matter. I remember once I even tried to be a little sneaky with my daughter and skip a few pages. She's like, you skip pages. So how do you know that? You don't even know how to read. Just because I've memorized the book. I know the book. And it's like, well, why do you want to keep reading it? Because she loves it. It's the same thing, right? Why do we keep reading the Torah over and over and over again? That's now I'm throwing out that question. Why do we keep doing that?
So we don't forget it.
Oh, you don't forget. How many times do you think you need to read it so you don't forget?
With me, a lot.
Forever in a day.
But why keep doing that?
It's a great story. It's such
okay, great story. I mean, how many times can you read the same book over and over
the
again?
perspective from one year to the next changes.
Whose?
Yeah. The older we get, the better we understand it.
Okay. It's because I asked some of my religious school students, do the words of this thing change? They said no. I said, but the most important thing changes, actually. And I told them it's you. They change, right? Because you're absolutely right. It's like our perspective is different, right? I could say when before I became a father and looking at the story of Abraham and Isaac, I'm like, wow, I'm thinking myself as Isaac, right? From that perspective. And then when I have a child, then I start to, well, perspective of Abraham, right? So that's why we keep doing it. Very good, fabulous, wonderful, because we are the ones who constantly change and evolve and grow. So with that, we just got to jump right back. Wait, did you know, actually, one last thing, that the Torah in the start of it is actually about baseball? Did you know that? Did you know that?
Nope.
No? In the big inning. Oh, in the big inning. No?
At the
No?
ninth.
Not funny? No? Okay. Whatever, y'all don't know funny. Here we go. Let's I'm gonna share this screen. We can take a look at our text. There's a whole bunch of really interesting things that I don't know if we really can share. Okay, here it is. Does everybody have this? Everybody can see this? Make it so I can see everybody. Whoa. No. Here we go. This is what I want. Now I got everybody on my screen. So I'm just going to start reading over here. This is very interesting. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions that the translations of which can kind of give a different feeling to the text. So here we go. Now, right from the first sentence, huge translation that can completely change how we look at the story. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Okay, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Susan, where are you? You look like you're in the hills of Jerusalem.
I'm in my backyard.
You live in Jerusalem? When did you move there?
No, this is my cell phone photograph of my backyard.
Okay. When
New
did you move to
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem? That's impressive. So, okay, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So here are two different, very interesting translations. Okay, and let's discuss what's the difference between the two. When God began to create heaven and earth, when God began to create heaven and earth, versus in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. What are the difference between those two translations? Both from the same word, Bereshit bara Elohim. When God began to create heaven and earth versus in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Let's just jump in right with that. What could that mean? What do we think about the differences of those two statements?
Well, was God there before the beginning in one of the things?
Well, I mean, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that God was there regardless. God was there regardless. That, right? Bli reshit v'bli tachlit. That God has no beginning and no end. So there just always was, right? So if that's the case, that means everything and anything is God. Because if God has no beginning and no end, right? All right. Let's go with that in mind, perhaps. What is the difference between when God began to create heavens and earth versus in the beginning, God created heaven and earth?
Well, in the beginning is not really consistent with what you just said to me.
Oh, okay. Why not?
Because the beginning of something, there's nothing before the beginning of it.
But if we're not talking about God, in the beginning,
could be the beginning, I guess, just of the universe, maybe. But...
Okay, could be the beginning of the universe, but you're right. Like if God really has no end and no beginning, there is no beginning. So then it almost lends itself to a different understanding of in the beginning. In the beginning of what? In the beginning of creation, in the beginning of, I don't know, right? Beginning of creation could be universe, could be everything and anything. Oh, Doug's here. Everything and anything outside of what God is, right? Because we even say there's this story that God had to, it's called Tzimtzum, had to breathe in of God's self to make room to create, which kind of sounds to me that then God is creating a beginning and an end, not of existence, but of dimension, right? Not of existence, but of dimension, in order to create space for these other things. But the second translation, right? When God began to create the heavens and the earth, lends itself to the idea that there were already tons of other things around, right? That we kind of jumped in to a different, like into the middle of the story. We've jumped ahead to the chapter of heaven and earth as opposed to everything else. Go ahead, Merle.
Well, basically what you just said, there was something and God gave it a name.
Tell me more.
Gave whatever that something was a specific name. There's all this stuff swirling around you, but what is it?
Oh, okay. The stuff swirling because oh, I love this. Okay, we're gonna go we'll go Brad and then Pnina. You're muted, Brad.
This is maybe heretical, but I think the Christian Bible says in the beginning was the Word. And I think that that's actually more descriptive of what's going on. It's the performative nature of language. God speaks and the world is created. It's and it's a theme that reappears in the Torah when Moses is asked to speak to the rock. The performative nature, the performative nature of language.
And we have that right here, right? God Let there be light. God said, "Let there be light," and there was. So it's. I don't know. That's not. What did you use? Heretical? Is that the word you
Well,
used?
yes.
Why would that be heretical? It's right here.
Well, because I'm changing the first line, which, in the Christian Bible, the first line of the story is, "In the beginning was the Word."
Huh, I didn't know that. That's the first line in the beginning.
I think in one of the versions, I
All
think.
right, I
No,
like
no,
that.
no, no, no. I'm looking at a Christian Bible right now. Genesis begins as in the beginning, God created. It's in the Gospels. It starts because I'm taking the Bible as literature class through Emeritus College. It's in the Gospel where it says, and then there was the Word, or however it's put.
Okay.
It's in
Fascinating.
John,
I love
chapter
that.
1, verse 1 of John is, "In the beginning was the Word."
Yeah.
Of Jonathan, Yoni,
Jonathan, yeah.
of Yoni. Yoni is so it's like they are doing the same thing that we are, just going with the translation and trying to look at to create the different pathways that we can enter it. Go ahead, Nina. You're muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think it's whenever there is a doubt of what's happening in the world, I always tell my kids or my students, I said, if you look up at the way aeroplanes stays in the air and they're so heavy, I believe that there is a God that people could create such a machine that will stay up in the air, and it's so heavy. So I think it's there. It's there. The Bereshit, yes, it was there, but it's when we acknowledge that there is a force greater than us that takes. Actually, it's not something that happens to everybody at the same time. When you
Okay,
are
hold on to that idea. That's fascinating. Hold on to that idea because I think that's going to play out towards the end of our discussion today when we get to something else. I love that. Hold on to that idea.
Okay.
Hold on to that idea.
Okay.
Delicious. Okay, so now we've established. Oh, we got some other people coming in. So now we've established their translation. All translation is interpretation, right? Because we're trying to maneuver through these words, and this is what I also found interesting. Right? What would be two different understandings of this, where it says, I'll go do it to Hebrew. No. Let's I thought
One minute, I gotta let the
yourself.
dog in. I gotta let the dog in. 1 minute.
I mean, okay, do you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Where's the dog?
Yeah. Lorraine, what's up, Lorraine? Look who it is, everybody. Lorraine. I love it. Let's go back. Al pnei tahom ve'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. Right? So, okay. Let's say that and the earth. The earth was in chaos and unformed, and there was darkness over the deep, darkness over the surface of the deep. So, okay, there is something. There's a surface, right, of a deep, and we're talking about the waters, and it says it can be ruach Elohim can be, and then a wind from God came sweeping over the water. So we're saying there's already water there. There's darkness and water, and a wind came. Or ruach can also be spirit. The spirit of God swept over the water. What would be two different understandings using that translation? Which it was, okay, the earth being unformed and void, darkness over the surface of the deep. So we're already saying that there was something there. And the wind, a wind from God, sweeps over the water versus the Spirit of God sweeping over the water. What could be the two juxtapositions there or two understandings? Okay, go ahead, Panino, what you got? You're muted.
Again, sorry. Okay, I think I think it's the recognition that all of a sudden that you can do it, and that's the moment that God is actually like with you. That's
But my
the
question
greater
is,
force that gave us the force to do things. So
but
it all depends when you are acknowledging, when you are creating something, you're also acknowledging that it was a gift that was given you from God, that you are able to do that.
okay, I'm not with you a little bit. Give me the difference. What is the difference between saying a wind from God
That's when you feel
versus
it.
the spirit of God?
Yes, that's when you
Give
feel
me,
it. The wind is when you are actually knowing that you could do it because God is with you, the recognition of your own capabilities, and the spirit is actually when you do it.
oh, I like, so what you're saying right here is like, let's not do a either or translation. Rather, let's do both translations at the same time.
Only at the time.
Okay. Seth, go ahead.
I think wind to me sounds more like physical and direct and powerful, whereas spirit to me is more, uh, ethereal and more conceptual in a way.
Okay, so now we've kind of you've defined what wind is for you and what spirit is for you. So if you go with wind, what does that say about the story, what's going on, versus if you go with ethereal and spirit, what does that say about the story?
Wind to me is more like saying God has power and is actually making stuff physically happen in the world directly.
Versus,
Versus spiritual to me is more like God is this more of a concept and maybe is a way that we use to explain what happened in the world.
okay. I like it. Susan.
The wind is created by God, right? So you
Oh,
it's not just like Spinoza would say, there, or the wind is God. This is created by a causative power.
okay. And so it's almost external from God versus
Yes,
God
that
as
is
God's self.
rather than God is the wind. And the spirit is also, don't they have you had read this Ruach is the breath
So
of God,
ruach, yes, is
and that's how God creates Adam through a breath.
oh, okay. So we're going, okay. We can go.
Yeah.
I like that. Now we're gonna move. I love this. Now let's take a look at this other thing. Let there be light, and there was light. God saw the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and called the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning, a first day. Okay. Why does it say light is day and darkness is night? But what's the difference between day and morning and night and evening? Why are we saying now all of a sudden there was evening and there was morning when we just said that there was day and there was night? What's the difference between them? Brad, is that a hand up or is that from before?
No, that's a hand up.
Go.
I don't know if I'm answering your question. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but what strikes me is that from the very first lines of the Torah, we get this concept of separation. It's a theme. It's a theme that drives the Torah. Whether we separate ourselves from idol worshippers, whether we separate our food between treif and not treif, between wool and linen. I mean, it just goes, the theme of separation is the major theme in the Torah, it seems to me. And it's right here in the very first lines.
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
and it And I have to, it's something to think about. Why is separation so important?
Not only just
anyway,
important, but it says it's good.
and it's good. Exactly.
Brad, you baking my noodle. Okay, I'm going to go Lorraine, then Rebecca, and then Pnina. Go ahead, Lorraine.
I think Rebecca had her hand up before.
Well, look at you. Okay, Rebecca, go ahead. Rebecca, and
Oh,
then Lorraine.
Everyone already knows I'm looking at a Christian Bible, and the commentary in this, and this goes along with what Brad is saying, is that God was creating order. So in order to create order, he was separating. You have to have order. He's establishing an order.
So are you saying that order is synonymous with separation, or
Yeah,
there is
because,
no
well,
order
I mean,
without separation?
So if I look at my utensil drawer, my
Okay.
forks are separated from my spoons because that creates an order for me when I pull out the drawer.
Okay, but yes, okay. But what if you could that order be, there could be different orders within that? Like what if I'm going to put all my teaspoons and my little forks together, and I'll put my big spoons and my big forks together. My kids still like using the little forks. I don't understand. At 18 and 16, why you gotta use little forks? Lorraine.
For the record, I do like to use little forks too. That can stay. It's just so funny because every time that you read the same passage, you just pick up different things. So when you were talking about why the evening and why the morning, to me, what is struck out is that, well, I guess this is where the order of the day really begins. We begin the days with the evening.
Okay.
And that's when we start celebrating, when the sundown happens.
You know what's
morning? It's a sequence.
It's a sequence, but because like I see night and day as really having a separation, but I see morning and evening not having such a clear separation. It's like where the two are still connected, right? Sort of like the twilight and like sunrise and sunset, right? Morning is not day and evening is not night. There's still remnants of what came before or what comes after, I feel like. Right? You see what I'm saying? It's like I always at weddings, like that's a photographer. When is the best time to take pictures of people? Like, there's like the golden hour. It's like that transition time. So it's not even in the separation, it's in the transition, those liminal spots in between. Right, where we look the most fabulous.
Yeah.
Lorraine, did you want to finish your thought? Because I cut you off there a little.
No. You did a great job. Thank you for that.
All right, Pnina, go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's that God's supposed to be like a model. If he says I'm here, but is also the model of how to behave. He creates, then it shows that it should be a commotion, like a mishmash, but then he decided that it's going to be dark, and then he decided that it's going to be it's still his spirit, it's still him, but then all of a sudden there is light. So he shows people, if they are going to mimic him, they have choices. You can have a choice, just like God says his spirit is in us, in all of us, in everything. But he shows them that he chooses things, he makes decisions, he separates. When he decides to call the day, it's going to be a day. That's meaning that his action had a result. Something happened. So we're supposed to mimic him all the time. And this is the signal to people that they have a control over their actions because they need to choose. They have the ability to choose between good and bad. That's the whole idea.
But what does that?
The Ten
Okay, I
Commandments.
see what you're saying. But okay, I see what you're saying. So, but I feel like evening and morning is not definitive. I think it's like one that leads
Okay,
into the other as
it
opposed
doesn't
to,
matter. It doesn't matter. It's the result that matters.
okay, good.
The
All right.
result that
Okay.
matters. Not how
So
he
this
did it.
is,
You don't know how he did it. He's God. He
so
just
this is what
happened. Things happen. If I ask somebody who is not a mechanic how to build an aeroplane, he's not going to know. But the one who knows will do it. Not
or I
everybody
could
will
just
know
look
to
on
do the
YouTube.
same
That's what
thing.
all the kids are doing these days, looking on
That's
the
okay.
YouTube.
That's fine. But that's not,
Okay. So now here's the next question. The
it's
next
the
question is
ability to
this.
choose. That's it.
Okay. We got you. Nekuda. Sof
Okay.
sof. Here's
Okay.
the next question. What is a day? What is a day? What is a day? What does this mean? There was evening, there was morning, first day, second day, third day, fourth day. What is a day? What is a day? What's a day? Go ahead, Merle. Then
you can
Susan.
do, now that it's dark here in the mornings, I see that I have to do things differently early in the morning than I can do when it gets light out.
But what is a day, Merle?
A
Here it
day
says
to
it
me,
created. God's going to do all this creating in 6 days. And then on the seventh day, God's resting. But what is a day?
a day to me is the time when you can do things that you can't do.
What is time?
Oh, that's a really good question. Time is what you make of that space you have during the day. During
But
what
what's a
you,
day?
it's a space.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. I like where we're going with that. I'm going to go Susan, then Seth.
So we don't know whether first of all, they're capitalized, but I don't think they're capitalized in Hebrew. Does Hebrew?
There's no capitalized in Hebrew.
Hebrew.
There's no lowercase and uppercase.
Right, but it is here in the English, as is
Okay.
the name of God. So that suggests it's a holier time than evening and morning.
But what is time here? What
It's
is a day and what is
relative.
time?
It's relative. And we
To
are,
now we're
thanks
getting
to
fancy.
Einstein, it's relative. So
It's relative. Okay.
in God's cosmos might be 1 billion years,
Okay.
our years. So we don't have a definitive number for the day in the Bible. We have separated it into 24 hours because
But yes, but what is an hour? What is a day? What is a
exactly,
time? Go, Seth, go.
To me, a day is an amount of time, and it's the
But what
amount of
is
time.
time?
Well, give me a second. It's the amount of time it takes the Earth
So
to
good, Seth.
rotate around once on its axis.
Okay.
And it can be measured by the position of the sun.
Okay.
And it also corresponds to one night and one daytime, or one evening and one morning.
Okay. So now here's my next
Happens
thing.
each day.
Here's my next thing, though, Seth. You just mentioned the sun and rotation and all that kind of stuff. In this story, none of those things are created until the fourth day. There's no sun. There's no moon, no sun, no star. No, it's so if we are counting and figuring out time and relating to time based on the sun, right? And that thing's not created until the fourth day, then what is a day? And that's being very earth-centric of us, right? Because what is this? Is a billions and billions and trillions and billions and billions and billions and trillions of suns out there, and billions and trillions and billions and billions and billions of planets out there, right? The universe and the galaxy, all those things. So, and time exists differently, even in our own solar system, right? Time exists differently, even in our own solar system. So, how can we translate this idea of day and night and morning and evening? How can we translate that in our own understanding in this text How can we place our own understanding of time on this text when in the text itself, what we are basing time on is not created until the fourth day? What you think about that, Seth?
Well, I think that this text is sort of created in the context of, the Jewish people or the ancestors of the Jewish people at their time. I don't think they were thinking about things outside of the solar system or
Oh,
outside
you
of our
don't?
planet. They sort of knew that there was a night sky that they saw.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I don't think they really had like a concept. I think to a person who would have written this or read it, kind of originally, uh, they knew what a day was to them. It was sort of,
Beautiful.
and so those questions were kind of a little beyond their thinking, I would say.
So, those questions were beyond their thinking. So, when something is beyond one's thinking, it's like we're looking for explanations and the whys. So then we start creating these whys, right? And then, which is so fascinating because I think about it in terms of, at this time, did they know about electrons and neutrons and protons and all that kind of stuff? Did they know about those things? No. Does that mean they didn't exist? Of course not. Of course they existed, but they didn't know. But so for us, that's like another reason why do we keep reading these texts over and over and over again? Because we are also evolving, so we're going to relate to the text differently. Right? That's fabulous, Steph. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Nina. Don't tell her. Don't tell her. Let's see if she figures it out that she's on mute.
Du bist verstummt.
Okay. Okay, why don't you tell me? All right, come on. I think it's causative. Whatever happens is caused to something else to happen. And they did know that there was changes, because how come they came up with a different calendar? The Assyrians had their calendar with the recognition that it takes a different time for the earth or the moon to go around each other, and then what it takes the earth to go around the sun. And that's why they created the calendar that we in the Jews are following in Israel, that you add another month because there is a difference of 11 hours or 11 days or 11 days, sorry. And every year we have a leap year because of it. So if they know how to create during the Assyrian time that we adapted, that there is a difference between this, then they know that there is a causative situation, that everything is causative. There is a result of every action. There is going to be some kind of a result, some kind of a happening. And then they created that they can fix it with adding another month on the calendar to catch up.
I was born during that additional month. That's why my wife says I still act like I'm 12.
Well, this
Brad,
is what
and then where did Merle go? Oh, there she is. Brad and then Merle.
Well, I think we're losing track of the important thing here, which is again the idea of separation. A separation is being created between the darkness and the light.
Okay.
And that could be as you talked about, that's an in-between kind of space between darkness and light. And here, a separation is being created somehow between the two without there being a sun in the sky. So it seems to me, when we wake up in the morning, we don't see the sun yet. It's not, it's not dark, it's not light, but there is a separation going on between them. So I don't know. I think it's the separation that's the important thing.
Yeah, and what I love about your understanding the separation, that it's not like right. It's like it evolves one to the other. It like flows, right, as opposed to really deliberate and hard and chazak like that. All right, so this is interesting. Now, as you while you're all chit chatting, and you saw that I was scrolling through here. So this is interesting. And God created humankind in the divine image, creating it in the image of God, creating them male and female. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fertile and increase, fill the earth, fill the sea, the fish, and master it. Rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the living things and the creepy things. God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon the earth and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit, so on, so on, so on, so on. And God saw that all had been made and found it very good. And there was evening, there was morning, and then we had Shabbat. Okay, in this story, humans were created last. Humans were created last. Now, here's what's a little interesting here, a little cuckoo. Wait, where'd Doug go? Doug left. Just his screen. Here's a little cuckoo. Did you all know? Well, I bet you did. You're all some serious scholars here. Then now we have, as soon as this story ends, what happens? We have a whole other story, a whole new story about creation. Welcome back, Doug. A whole new story of creation where humans are not created last, where the human is created first. The heaven and the earth were finished in all the array, and on the seventh day God rested, God ceased or rested, and God blessed the seventh day. Such is the story of heaven and earth when they were created, when God made the earth and heaven. And then, right after that part, when no shrub of the field suitable for pasturage was yet on the earth. So we have the earth, but nothing else, no grasses of the field, nothing, no cereal, because God had not sent rain upon the earth, and there were no human beings to till the soil, but a flow would well up from the ground and water the whole surface of the earth. So here, in this part of the story, as opposed to the first, right, where the heavens and earth were unformed and void, but there was already a separation between the deep and a surface. And here we have, there's a surface, an earth, and then the waters well up from within and come and cover it. Okay, so check it out. No, but the flow would well up from the ground and the water on the whole surface of the earth. God, Adonai, formed the human, blowing into his nostrils the breath of life. The human became a living being. God, Adonai, planted a garden in Eden in the east and placed there the human who had been fashioned. Okay? So here we have the earth, and then we have the human, and there's the garden. And then after this, then you have all of the plants, all of the trees, all of the animals, the rivers, everything like that. And God gives the job to the human to then name everything. Like everything's going to come before the human, and human's going to go, this thing to me, I'm going to call it a dog. And now we have a dog, right? So all of these things, why now? Right as we finish the first story, we have the second story right after where humans are created first. The first story, humans are created last. The second story, humans are created first. Why do we need this? What is this? What is the point of having these two stories that then goes into a little more specific details about naming certain rivers, right? So this is why we think in the Fertile Crescent, we know where maybe the Garden of Eden, if it existed, this is where it was and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I see a bunch of hands popping up. I'm going to go. There's a lot of questions to ask here too. I'm going to go Rebecca, Seth, and who else had a hand? Brad, did you have a hand? No. Okay. Rebecca. Oh, and Merle. Okay, we'll go Rebecca, Seth, Merle.
Okay, so this is great because I write stuff down in this book, and I have a quote from Brad from another Torah study, and he said the second story is because, like God, we can create, and that's what the second story is saying. I hope I'm repeating what you said, Brad. So, like God, we can create, so that's why there's a second creation story.
Good.
Well, that doesn't tell me why there's a second creation story. You just tell me that there is a second creation story and we're seeing it.
Well, because we do create. So there had to be a second story talking about how we as individuals
okay. So we're saying All right, that was a lovely story, God. Here's another way that we could look at it, because we're going to create it. Is that what you're saying, Rebecca? Oh, you muted yourself.
Yes.
Rebecca, you muted yourself.
That's my interpretation of what Brad said.
Delicious. Brad, do you remember saying that?
Well, I think what I was saying, and Rebecca's maybe expanded on it, is that when God says that we're created in his image, I think what we mean by that is that we are creators just as God is a creator.
Amen.
Why?
And why? I mean, think about what we do with our lives. I mean, we
No, I know that
create,
we
we
do it,
work.
but what does that mean then? How does that being created in the image of God mean we act like is what you're saying? We have the potential.
I'm saying that we are, the way we resemble God is that we create just as God created.
Yes.
Well, we
That's
have the
how we
potential
are
to.
godlike.
We have the potential
In
to.
our ability to create.
Okay,
That's
the
right.
ability is there. Whether or not we choose to use it or do it, that's a different story.
Exactly.
Okay, go. Seth, who I said?
Exactly.
Seth. Oh yeah, Seth, Merle, Susan.
So to me, the fact that there are two creation stories, the reason for that may be more about how the Bible was put together.
Delicious.
So that I think of the Bible as being kind of a collection of the stories and wisdom of the Jewish people and our ancestors.
Beautiful.
And so
Beautiful.
maybe there are two different stories and they just were both put in because they're both good stories and, and people like them.
So that's an interesting, that's a good question of then why put in both stories, right? That's good. Why put in both? They can't decide. Well, this 50% like this one, 50% like, you know what? Let's just put them both in there. We're going to just do, an everything bagel. I don't have to decide. I got it all. Interesting. Good. Okay. We're going to hold on to that thought, Seth. We're going to keep going with it. Who did I say? Did I say
Me.
Merle, then Susan?
I'm
then
thinking
Penina.
that in the first story,
Yeah.
God created what needed to be created in God's mind. In the second story, God needed people to manage the things he created.
That's great.
To manage. Okay. Well, that would be the first one also. See, now I'm putting you all in charge. See all this fabulous stuff? Now I'm putting you
They
all
all
in
run
charge of it.
together.
Okay.
That's really good.
But then after after the human, right? This is neither male nor female. It's the human, right? Because there's no partner yet. It's not until in this story where God puts the human to sleep, removes a rib, and then fashions the partner out of the rib. So now you have, and he says, I created man, woman, and now I have these. But the first was a combination of the two. So this is interesting. Now we're going to move. Oi, in the interest of time, we got to jump. We're going to jump. This one at last is the bone of my bone, the flesh of my flesh. A woman. Okay. Now. Oh, we got that. Let me back it up a little bit because it goes over here. We're right over here. And God commanded the human, saying, of every tree of the garden you are free to eat. But as for the tree of knowledge of good and bad, you must not eat of it. For as soon as you eat of it, you shall die. What is going on here? The tree of knowledge of good and bad. You must not eat of it, for as soon as you eat of it, you shall die. What does that mean? Because we know they didn't die in the sense that we understand it. So what could that mean? We're going to go, Susan. Go ahead, Susan, and then Penina.
Well, I was still on the earlier sections that you talked about.
Yeah, bring it.
Yeah, you didn't go through the different creations. The first,
You're right, I didn't.
with Adam being, God created him male and female. He created them. God
Yeah.
them. So that's a completely different, then the second one where God created Adam and breathed life into him and then took from his side Eve. So we have two different creation stories of human beings, which is interesting and
Or don't we? Right? That God created them. We're
Yeah.
not even necessarily, if we know that it's actually two separate existences, two separate humans, but rather
Yeah.
is one. And it's not until the second story that we see that there is the separation, that partnership.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
That's good, Susan. That's really good. Now
so
let's go
actually,
to
I
the
like you saying that it's similar because they were both created from the original, from one being. They separated.
right. Like we have Ish ve'isha, which is man and woman, but we have Adam, right? Created from Adama, from the earth. Adam is different than an Ish or Isha.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the other one is the Isha is created from his side, but Adam is joyous and says, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone.
Yeah.
You've got the similar thing. So now you want this. I don't understand why there's only 1 week for this parasha. This should be the whole. This should.
I know, because we only just touching the surface over here.
Yeah, it's the most, it's long, one of the longest and the most complex of all of them,
Very dense.
So
Totally.
really should take longer. Now we have another concept of knowing good and evil. And
Yes.
one would credit the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life. And
So it's not the tree of life, right? Tree of life is something different. There's a tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then as soon as you eat it, you shall die. What does that mean?
so here we go. Some of the things that Eve, bless her heart, should be credited for wanting to know the difference between good and evil, because isn't that part of the whole morality of the Torah? On the other hand, she's going to know mortality, and that although that's not
There we
but
go.
she knows that the
Fascinating. So
and
it's not that you're going
animals,
to die at that moment, but you are going to understand that you will eventually die,
which
right?
animals
It's ignorance is bliss. It's the opposite of it. It's like an awakening. It's like growing up.
That's correct.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan. Okay, Pnina, go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I always say it and I cannot explain it any clearer. It's choice. By making choices, a person himself will make his outcome to be whatever it's going to be. It's about making choices. And he created and he gave them the opportunity of all kind of things, but not the same as the animals. The animals are making choices, different choices. We had the ability to recognize more than those animals. That's why he puts us in the same chapter with the animals. But he gave us the ability to choose again. It's about choices. And the choices give you the result of how your life is going to be shaped up.
So are
That's
you
what
saying
I'm
in
trying
terms of
to say.
this, are you saying
And
in
if
terms
you
of this
think,
that they're choosing to eat
no,
but
it's
don't
not
eat
that.
the tree? Don't eat from the fruit, because as soon as you
That's not
do,
what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is that the choices will have results. He's not telling you what the result will be or how the shape of it. It tells you that could happen because you choose to do that. Your choices will have results. And those
okay. I mean, that goes through a lot, like even towards the end when we say choose life.
all the way.
I
Your
put before
choices
you,
will have results. That's
your
it.
choices will have
You're
results.
going to choose to eat an animal, it's going to be eaten because
Okay.
you're superior and you could make those choices. He gave us
But,
the choices, the ability to choose.
choice is not, there's no such thing as
There is a
complete
result
choice.
to those choices.
Because
Every
look,
choice
I
will
can
have a
have the
result.
I can make a choice that will I can impose my choice on you where you don't have a choice.
Depends. If it's going to be a good,
Well,
a good
look, because
choice,
watch. I muted you. You didn't anything you could do about that. I used my choice and muted you. Okay, we're gonna move on. Prina, I'm gonna go over to Brad.
Yeah, two things. I just want to expand on something Susan said. If you read Plato's Symposium, there's also a creation story, and the first humans were androgynous.
Okay.
They were both male and female in the Plato's Symposium. And the second thing is this business about the good and evil. We need an explanation of where good and evil come from, because we've just been told that we're created in God's image. If we're in God's image, where does the evil come from? And again, I come back to it. It just reaffirms this idea that the only way that we are created in God's image is that we too are creators, and we can create good and we can create evil, but we are creators, and that's what distinguishes us. And that explains how we can both be in God's image and there can be evil in the world.
But the image is not the thing itself, right? And an image can be vivid or it can be blurred. It can be in color in 4K, or it can be in black and white on a 13-inch television with rabbit ears, right? So what does if that's true, what does that mean then, being creators and being created in the image of God? Because an image is not is not perfect, right? Even a mirror image is not the thing itself. Brad, are you thinking? Are you ordering?
No, I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm not sure I have an answer to your question.
Yeah. So, right, because then it goes back to what Panino was saying about choice. So, being created in the image of God, we have the ability. Okay, maybe this. We have the ability to make the image more vivid or less vivid, right? We have and it relates directly to what you said about creating, right? What we choose to create, how we choose to create, when we choose, where we choose, what we choose, all of those kind of things, that has an effect on how close we are to the absolute zero of the image of God versus how far away are we, like just something kind of blurred thing that you have to squint your eyes to maybe see one of the pictures of it, right? Squint your eyes to kind of see one of the pictures of it. Rebecca.
Well, I want to say some people think that God is not all that great. Some people think that he's angry and destructive. And so for God to create good and evil, he or she had to know that to begin with.
And right, because we also see that all throughout the Torah, this where the anthropomorphizing of God with God's back and before God's face, and anger and evil, and I'm angry and and vindictive and vengeful and pouty.
Well, yeah,
right.
What came to mind was the flood, and after the flood, God said, "I'm never going to do this again." Right.
But then you have like the golden calf, and then you have the swallowing up of all of Korach's crew, into a fiery blaze of death, and then making the dancers around the golden calf, they melt it down and make them drink it. So that's how do we juxtapose that with this idea of creator? Susan, go.
So I don't like seeing God as an evil thing. Often it's why.
No. I was like, yeah, not why. I was like, yeah, I was with you.
But it's often for a misbehavior on human beings' part, and a sense of justice as well, because that's part of God's role, rachamim and justice.
Adid v'rachamim. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the compassion, but there's also justice in the world. If you have compassion for everything and for evil, then there's a saying that those who are compassionate to the evildoers end up being evil to the compassionate. So you have to have a balance between the two.
Dude, say that again.
If you're kind to the evil people and to evil, then you end up being evil or unjust to the kind.
Whoa.
Too much leeway for killers and murderers.
That's bananas.
You end up hurting the victims and future victims, if we put it in simpler language. And I think that's part of the balance that this order that God creates on the world is there for, to create a balance between.
That's so trying to create order and balance in something that's so complicated. Because what you said, Susan, is so richly complicated, right? Because if you think about choice and what does that mean to have compassion? Compassion is a choice. No, we're not going to even go in there because something that I just saw that was really, really cuckoo. I just it's like this video I just it was an interview with this singer, Israeli singer Idan Reichel, pop singer artist in Israel, and there was an interview with him. And in 2009, he was involved. 2009, 2006, 2000, something like that, involved with this organization called Save a Child's Heart. Save a Child's Heart. So this is why it's a very complicated statement that you're making. Save a child's heart. And then this came about where there was a soldier sent him from Gaza, sent Idan Reichel a picture that he found in one of the homes of one of the operatives that they were trying to take into custody. And it was a picture of Idan Reichel with a family, a father and a baby, and it turns out that, and it was done in Israel, where they brought the child in to fix the heart valves and whatnot, but the father later on, it turns out, was a Hamas leader, and the son became a Hamas soldier who was documented as killing some of the October 7th victims. But it was like, and he was really, he's really wrestling with this idea of like, here I was trying to save a child's life, save a child's heart, and then what happens, out of his control, out of so many controls, out of all the different influences from this side and that side and this side and this side, that led now to this father and son, and this child that he helped to save ended up being a killer. But all the other things that were involved in every other aspect of that child's life, in his child's life, is all connected, right? It's the same thing when we're saying, people that with Gilad Shalit and the release of Gilad Shalit, and one of the prisoners that was freed during Gilad Shalit was Yachiel Sinwar. But it's like, you're still not going to show the rachamim to Gilad Shalit. That's why I say, Susan, what you said is so profound and so complicated, right? I mean, that is bananas. So complicated at bananas.
But this was in the
Well-
Talmud, or the quote from it. I think it's in the Etz Chaim Torah that they had this saying there.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like
I didn't make it up.
I know you didn't make it up. That's what I'm saying. It's like this is something that we've been wrestling forever. It was even just I know we're over time and it's a little bit of a tangent, but I got to share something else with you. It was very interesting. So when we just had Simchat Torah here and we opened up the Torah around, we had kids read little different sections. So and then we each had to kind of explain one of the sections. So one of the sections was Bishalach, where it's where the Israelites, they make it to the edge, right? They make it to the edge and there's the sea. It's not part. And they're like, oh no, Moses, what'd you do? Why'd you bring us here only to get slaughtered here at the edge of the sea? And God's like, don't worry, have faith, have faith, have faith. Or no, Moses is like, don't worry, have faith, have faith, have faith. I'm paraphrasing. Then with the faith, opens to go to the other side. In this is fascinating. Right before, as they're making their way out, what does Moses say? He's like, we had to dig up Joseph's bones from Egypt to bring it back to Israel, bring it back to the promised land. And that's sort of like what we're doing now. Like our live hostages have returned, but our dead ones have not. But we still are committed to bringing the bodies, the bones, like Moses and Joseph. And then with the have faith thing, if anybody's read any of Eli Sharabi's book or seen any of the interviews with him, he was saying from the first morning that he was there, and he said he's not a religious man. He wasn't a religious man prior to this, but from the first morning, he said every day Shema for the nearly 2 years that he was there, right? Or the year and a half, saying the Shema. And he said that the faith brought him so much energy that he said it was crazy. It was crazy, but it was also something that he felt he wasn't alone. So it's like all of those things that we've been talking about and wrestling with for thousands of years are not just part of a story that's thousands and thousands of years old, but it's intimately at the forefront of our lives today. With that, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
That's what.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Rabbi.
good. Seth,
Thank you.
welcome
Good
to
to see
the
you.
crew. Seth, the crew. Welcome, Seth. And to be continued.
Shabbat shalom,
More to
everyone.
come.
Shabbat Shalom. Lorraine, great to see you.
Good
Bye,
show.
everybody.
Bye.
you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.